Hello everyone, welcome back to part 3 of chapter 2. We have already studied production possibilities frontier. Now let's take a look at how PPF for an entire economy works. First of all, goods can be divided into consumer goods and capital goods. Consumer goods are for present consumption. Usually it is for our personal use, like our clothes, our shoes, food, and drink. The more the consumer goods, the higher the satisfaction, because we mentioned that people's wants and needs are unlimited. So if we have more goods to consume, then we satisfy more. Capital goods are productive assets that are used to make other goods. In chapter 1, we said resources includes land, labor, and capital. That capital and these capital goods are the same. They refer to machineries, equipment, software, and constructions. We use it to make some other goods. Usually, capital goods are used by firms and government. They are not consumable. This means when an economy allocates some resources to make capital goods, people's wants and needs is not being satisfied. We feel satisfied because we consume the consumer goods, not for capital goods. So since it won't satisfy our wants and needs more, why do we still want to produce capital goods? Should we just stop producing capital goods? Well, capital goods is used to make some other goods and services. So if an economy produces it, it will improve the production of goods and services in the future. So that would give us economic growth. Economic growth means an economy produce more goods and services. Let's see how the resources allocation to make consumer goods and capital goods makes a difference in the economic growth. So here we have choice 1. So an economy starts with a given amount of resources. So if an economy chooses to produce consumer goods only, then all of the resources will be used to make consumer goods. So they have, lots of consumer goods to consume. All right, then how about in the next production period? Well, they have the same resources to produce the same amount of consumer goods next year. So this will go on and on and on. This economy is not going to have any economic growth. So why? Because the amount of resources is the same. Now let's take a look at choice number 2. Choice number 2, this economy produce less consumer goods than choice 1, and they free up the resources to make some capital goods. So notice that in choice 2, people's consumption is going to be less than choice 1. So people are not as satisfied as choice 1. But what happened next is that this type of capital goods is going to be the new capital goods. It adds into their resources. So in next year, they have more resources to produce more goods and services. See, in the next year, their consumption actually catch up with the choice 1's economy. They can consume the same now while they have more capital goods to make even more resources. So when this goes on and on, they always have more capital goods add to the more resources to produce. So for this allocation of resources, the economy will grow. And since they are going to have more consumer goods to consume in the future, their living standard improve and they will have a economic development. For that reason, we said consumer goods is for present consumption and capital goods is for future consumption. There is a trade-off between present consumption and future consumption. Why? Because resources are limited. So if we allocate less resources to make consumer goods, we will free up some amount of resources to make more capital goods. These capital goods will enhance future consumption because capital goods are part of the resources. With more resources, we can produce more goods. So more goods being produced, meaning faster economic growth. And then we'll have higher living standard. Higher living standard means people have more goods and services to consume. Okay, let's take a look at this production possibilities frontier model. So this model has consumer goods and it has capital goods. And at the current year, it has all of these choices A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So see if you can answer this question. What are the efficient production choices? Remember, efficient must be on the PPF, so it must be A, B, C, D, E, right? Very good. Next question. If Imagineland has high unemployment, which combination is most likely that the country produces at? F or C? Let's take a look. F is inside PPF. C is on the PPF. What do you think? It is F, isn't it? Very good. So how come F has high unemployment? Well, take a look at C. C produces $4.5 trillion of consumer goods. They use up all the resources, meaning that all of the workers who are willing to work found their job. So C is full employment. F is not. F only produced $2 trillion of consumer goods. So actually it has a very high unemployment because when the economy doesn't produce as much as 4.5, the firms lay off workers. So that is why F has high unemployment. Okay, let's take a look at this question. If Imagineland produces at A in year 1, does the economy grow in year 2? Let's see. A is in here. A produces $6 trillion of consumer goods, and there is no more resources to make any capital goods. So remember, no capital goods, no more new resources in the next year, so they can't produce any more next year, right? So the economy does not grow in year 2. Okay, very good. Let's take a look at this one. Which choice will give the economy a higher economic growth? B or C? Let's see. B produced at here. It produced 5.5 trillion of consumer goods and 1 trillion of capital goods. C, 2 trillion capital goods. Which one give the economy a higher growth? C, isn't it? Very good, C, because they produce more capital goods. I would like you to know also that once there is economic growth, this PPF is going to shift. So if a B shift out to this orange line, then C is going to shift out even more to this green line. So if you continue with D, D is 3 trillion capital goods, so D is going to shift out even more, like there. So that would be the new PPF. A doesn't have any shift out because the capital goods is 0. Okay, very good. Okay, this question. Suppose a presidential candidate of Imagine Land announces that the administration would be able to lead the country to produce at G in the current year. What is your reaction? What do you think? It is impossible, right? Because it is outside PPF. So in the current year, it is unachievable. Good job. Now let's take a look at the law of increasing opportunity cost. It is the observation that as a nation chooses to produce more of one good, it must give up increasing amount of the other good. So in here, I'm going to use an example, produce more of one good. I'm going to say more of the capital goods. It must give up increasing amount of the other good. This other good is going to be consumer goods in my example below. So if this economy decided to move from A to B, so in A, they used to produce 6 trillion of consumer goods, no capital goods. When they move to B, they produce less consumer goods from 6 down to 5.5. So this means that they give up 0.5 trillion of consumer goods. And what do they gain? They gain 1 trillion of capital goods, right? From 0 to 1. So this is the first move. And then the second move is they move from B to C. They say, okay, I want to have even more capital goods. All right, so capital goods gain from 1 to 2, so it gains 1 trillion. How much consumer goods need to give up? So originally 5.5 and now is 4.5. 5.5 minus 4.5 equals to 1 trillion consumer goods. Get it? So this time they have to give up more consumer goods in order to gain the same amount of capital goods. So if you continue with the example, you will see the next move from C to D. Gain capital goods is again just 1 from 2 to 3. Now, what do they have to give up for the consumer goods? 4.5 down to this 3 over here. 4.5 minus 3 equals to 1.5 trillion. So this example illustrates the law of increasing opportunity cost. As a country tries to produce more of the capital goods, even though the gain is the same amount, but they have to give up more and more of the consumer goods. So why do we have the law of increasing opportunity cost? And why does PPF have a Bao-Lao shape? This is all because resources are specialized. Certain resources are more productive in producing some goods than they are for other goods. And here is an example. Chefs, musicians, doctors, they are more productive at offering consumer goods. Engineers, computer programmers, they are more productive at making capital goods. This means that if you let a chef to cook, they make more value of the consumer goods. They contribute more value to the consumer goods. But if you allocate this chef to make capital goods, the chef didn't know how to make it, so it's going to make less value of capital goods. So when a economy increase the output of one good in our example, increase of capital goods, then each move will have to use the less suitable resources. We are going to use the less productive people to produce capital goods. So that's why we have to give up more consumer goods. So as a result, the opportunity cost increases. Here is a problem for you to solve. Complete the problem and take the quiz named Bonus Chapter 2, Chef and Engineer. You can find the same problem in the lecture notes Chapter 2, or you can just pause the video and just write it down. I'm going to explain a couple of them here for you to see how to do it. The setting of the problem is that there are 3 people, the chef, Dr. Chen, and the engineer. They can make either pizza or fish trap, but their talent is different. So the chef can make more pizza, Dr. Chen can, makes less, engineer makes the least. But the engineer makes the most fish trap, Dr. Chen is in the middle, and the chef makes the least. Question A. If the 3 of them decided to make pizza only, how many pizzas can they make? Locate this choice in the chart. Okay, so chef makes 3, Dr. Chen makes 2, engineer makes 1. That means that if they make pizza only, they can make 6, right? So 6 should be over here. Next is B. If the 3 of them want to send the most productive person to make fish trap instead of making pizza, who is the best candidate? What do you think? The engineer, right? He makes the most fish trap. So, okay, locate their choice in the chart. So the chef and Dr. Chen still makes pizza. Therefore, pizza should be 5. And now the engineer do not make pizza anymore. He makes the 3 fish trap. So 3 fish traps should be over here. So this is where the point is. Okay, complete the rest of the question. I am going to explain G. What is opportunity cost per fish trap when changing from A to B? So when changing from A to B, we actually give up 1 pizza because we used to produce 6 and now produce 5. And the gain of fish trap is 3 because it was 0 and now it's 3. So 1/3 is the opportunity cost for 1/3 of pizza is the opportunity cost for 1 fish trap. Okay, do the same for the rest of them. I'm going to stop here for this part, and I'll see you in the other part.